Alright lads, welcome back to the channel. So today we've got the newest top tier premium coming to the Soviet tech tree. This is the T-80UE-1. This is coming at £70 British, around $80, and it is of course pre-orderable on the Gaijin store. You get the tank, 20 days of premium, 2500 golden eagles, and then an honorary title, saying honor and glory for some reason, and a flying tank decal which no one ever uses. So what is the T-80UE-1? Well, here it is in War Thunder itself. This is of course on the dev server, and the TLDR for this tank is basically it is a T-80U that got a better thermal imager. There was also some other upgrades if you're someone that likes to count the wheel nut differences and all that sort of stuff. You got a better fire control system, so it can fire the 9M119M1, I believe. It can fire the tandem warhead missile. It also got the French IR, no, not, I guess it is infrared, the French thermal imaging system. This was basically designed for export in the early 2000s. Didn't really get any orders though. So it's coming in at battle rating 11.3. It's basically, again, just a T-80U's armor scheme, except it gets second gen thermal imaging. That is basically all you really need to know if you are the average guy, really. It gets free BM46, so a little bit step up over the free BM42 Mango. The armor scheme is pretty good though. You still get the Contact 5, well, you should do Contact 5 compared to the Contact 1 on the early T-80B. But with the Contact 5, it does give you a little bit of protection against actual kinetic warheads as well. Because I don't own the premium, it is showing stock stats, so when this is fully upgraded, it will be 1250. So it's basically just a T-80U with a better thermal imager, really. It's definitely not a cash grab by Gaijin whatsoever, as we load in. Now, the T-80UE did have a little bit of a bug, as you can see. Well, they might have fixed it. The gun doesn't seem to like... The gun seems to take your input as more of a suggestion, rather than an actual command. So as you can see, the tank is still quite nippy on the battlefield. Got a very good it's got a good acceleration. It's got the fantastic mobility of the T-80U, which in combination with the good mobility makes you incredibly good at brawling, because you can just play like a, well, lack of a better word, a retard, and still have a decent level of survivability. As you can see, we do have the better reload of the T-80Us. Well, the T-80 series in general, the 6.5 seconds, compared to the 7.1 seconds of the T-64, 72 and T-90. This also differs compared to the regular T-80U, as it does get basically a similar turret to the T-80UD. We no longer have the 4 mounts for the commander's machine gun. Instead, it is located on it's located on the commander's hatch itself, allowing this commander to fire the 50 cal, for lack of a better word, whilst being in the hatch. This isn't a major gameplay change though. Again, it is just basically the only way you'd look at this and say it isn't a T-80U is if you were someone that knew how to count all the different nuts and bolts on Soviet tanks and say, oh, well, actually this tank has something there. It's basically just a T-80U with a second gen thermal imager, which they haven't even modeled into the dev server right away. But it should get that. It does say it on the stat card as well. And that's pretty much it that we have for this tank. It's $70 for a tank that's in like several tech trees at the minute in various other ways. We've got the T-80UM, the UM2, UK. So it's asking quite a lot. As you can see in the Soviet tech tree when we load in, we already do have the T-80 UK, the UM2, the UD, now the T-80UE, and then we also have the tech tree T-80U. You also get the Swedish one, the regular T-80U. And I don't know if any other nation gets it. I don't think they do actually, but it's still quite a lot of T-80s. Especially for this to be worth like £70 British or whatever it is. So should you buy the T-80U, or should you pre-order it, I guess? Well, it's 11.3. You are going to have quite a decent lineup, especially if you're willing to up tier yourself up to 11.7. But even at 11.3, you've got the T-72B3. If you're lucky enough to own one of the squadron vehicles, or the this was an event, I can't remember what it was for, but it's a pretty decent tank. It gets the IR Dazzlers, which are... No, it doesn't. This one gets the Droz, sorry. It's the Droz 2. I think it's the Droz 2. Doesn't really do that much because it's only 1,200 meters per second. But it's a decent little tank at 11.0. The tech tree 11.3 T-80U is also still fantastic. It does only have first gen thermals though, but this thing is still a beast. It's still one of the OG top tier monsters. It has got a little bit long in the legs. But I am surprised that it isn't going to be getting the 3BM60. It's not really a massive upgrade. 580 compared to the... I think is it 5 something in this? 530. A 50mm buff, I guess. But I'm not really going to say it's going to be worth it. Especially if you already own some of the 10.0 Soviet tanks. Like, I purchased all these and it is a monster lineup. So if you already own these, I wouldn't really see there's any of a need. As you can see, this is a rank 7 tank. So it's not like it's a rank 8 and it's going to give you better multipliers really. If you already own these, or if you already own the squadron vehicle, or the UM2, putting a talisman on these things is probably better really in terms of buying the T-80U. Again, I've said it like 15 times now. This is literally just a T-80U with second gen thermals. So if you're good in the T-80, and you really want to waste $70 on second gen thermals, I guess, go ahead. But if you already have the terms, the 2S38, and even the T-80UD, then by all means, I'm not really too sure it's going to be worth jumping up to 11.3 when you can grind at 10.0 with 3 fantastic vehicles and quite a lot of good backup vehicles as well. You've got this modernized Sprut, the T-80 in 1989, the famously used by Taylor Swift. You also have stuff like, I was going to say, they put that thing up recently, haven't they? The Chrysanthemum is fantastic. So 10.0 is a fantastic lineup, whereas 11.3 just... It's not bad for Russia at 11.3, but if you're a newer player, it's going to be quite rough, especially with all the sweaty people playing at top tier now. But anyway, lads, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.